Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see from the title, we're going to be doing another dating horror story, so stick around. Hi guys, it has been a minute since we have had a little city sit down video. I figured I would do more of these. Y'all know I like to kill two birds with one stone, so I'm gonna actually be doing my makeup, and I am literally taking this out of the Sephora bag as we speak. Receipt still in bag because I have not tried this. I know I'm probably last on the train for the Turn Up Base Versatile Foundation Powder. This is by One Size Beauty. So I got this from Sephora. I tried to match myself based on their little give your foundation number, we'll tell you what your color is. And it said I was like a 6. Child, I tried the 6 and it was so dark. So I went down to a 2. Alright guys, so face is washed, moisturized. Back in the day when I was in high school, things were a little bit different. There was no TikTok, no Plenty of Fish or anything of that nature, right? Most people met each other organically, or some people did like party lines, chat rooms, and there was some online dating, but it wasn't extremely popular. So me being young and all of this like new high-tech stuff coming out, I used to experiment. One of the worst things I ever did, off topic, but just to give you an example, was I had Spanish homework that was due. So I logged online, went into a chat room that was for like Mexicans and Latin Americans, and I put ASL, which is age, sex, location. This one dude was like 16, male. I don't remember where he was from. So I messaged him on the side and I was like, hey, I need help with my Spanish homework. If I instant message you a sentence, can you translate it and send it back? And he was like, sure. And that's how I finished my Spanish homework. Now, in my era, that was unheard of. There's no way I would have got caught. Nobody would have found out because it just was not common. People were not using the internet like that because it was new to them. And they were just like, ugh. I won't say new because this is legit like early 2000s, but it was pretty, like the only people really using the internet were like corporate America and like teenagers. Like if you didn't have to use the internet for your job, most of those were not on it. I started having fun, child. Not knowing anything about the internet, what it was capable of, I went straight into messing around. So I went into this one chat room. Oh wow, guys. It's a nice little base. At the time, I want to say I was 17. I go into this one chat room and it's like a guy in there and he's talking and I'm like, oh, hey, you know, my name is Amber, blah, 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 blah. So he starts messaging me on the side. Now, before y'all be like, oh, you fast, I had no intentions on dating this man, meeting this man. I was just bored. So I was just talking to him online. And so he keeps saying to me, oh, we should meet up. Oh, we should hang out. And I'm just like, no, I'm not really interested, you know, or I'm busy or I'm doing this. So he says, well, why don't you give me your phone number and we can talk outside of messaging. So I was like, okay, I'll give him my cell phone number. Like, what's the big deal, right? Now, it's important for me to mention that homeboy had some big, like, highfalutin job with the government. Like, he was like, I want to say he was like an engineer or information technologist or something like that. Something where I didn't even know what it was that he did, but I knew it was up there. So fast forward, he has my cell phone number and he's just like calling me all the freaking time. I mean, all the time. And I'm just like, ugh. And I started noticing things. Like, he said that he was like, I want to say he said he was 21 or 22. Something I still had no business. Like, understand, I know I still had no business talking to him, but I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Then I started getting like a feel that he was not the age that he said he was. Like, it started giving, you're just a little bit too put together. You have just a little bit too much going for yourself for you to be saying that you're only 21. Not to say that someone who's 21 can't have themselves together, but homeboy just was like, you know, owned a house, had like a nice car, and talked about vacations he went on.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
And now, because, you know, young adults are so advanced, let's be real, they are living the life of people much older than them. You know, you see people like Kylie Jenner who were buying houses at 17 and 18. It's just a different generation. So, but in the early 2000s, that was not common. It was not common for someone to be that young and to have themselves that together. So, like I said, it was just a sneaking suspicion that I had that homeboy was older than what he was letting on, but I didn't have any proof. But I'd already told myself, like, he's a little bit on the weird side. I don't really necessarily want to talk to him or go beyond this phone conversation. And I actually was like, I'm going to stop answering his phone call. I'm going to use but tried and true Laura Mercier. So yeah, I decided that I was not going to entertain homeboy no more. I wasn't finna talk to him. I remember his name was like Trevor or Troy, something like that. So I'm going on about my merry way, living my life, child. And in school, I was on dance team, and I had so much going on because from 11th grade to 12th grade, I transitioned from being co-captain to being captain. And it's so funny because in hindsight, it was my world and it was so stressful. And now I look back like, girl, it was not that big of a deal. So I just really didn't pay attention to what was going on beyond that. And I remember I was having a phone conversation with him, and he said something along the lines of, he said something like, you can dance with anyone. You don't have to dance with who you're used to dance. He said something, and I had never went into detail about the squads merging. So that was kind of like, huh? Like, how do you know that I'm going through that? Like, still to this day, I don't even know if I discussed with my family the fact that they were trying to merge the squads. Like, I know that my family knows that I went from one dance team to another, but I don't think they knew all the drama that was surrounding merging them. So when he said that, I was just like, okay, that creeped me out. I'm like, yeah, no, that's just too coincidental. So I say that to say that should have been a major red flag to me. The fact that he knew something that minute that I didn't remember telling him. And it wasn't something small, at least not to me. it was a major part of my life at that point, so I would have remembered telling somebody that. So at that point I was like, yeah, I know. I'm straight. I don't know how you got this information, but we gonna go ahead and leave you be. So this is where it gets creepy. So one day I come home, and at this time my older sister was still alive, and we lived together, of course, with my mom. We grew up in the same household along with my younger sister. And sometimes my sister would pick me up from school, but not when I had like practice and all that, which I did. We practiced from 6th period, which started at like 1, to usually like 6 p.m. We put in a lot of hours. And so I would get another ride home because it was just easier, so that when people got home from work and all that, they didn't have to worry about coming back out to come get me. So anyways, I get home and I walk through the door, I take off my stuff, and homeboy had been calling me all freaking day, but I just was not answering. So my sister says, oh, something strange happened today. So my older sister. And I'm like, what? She's like, some guy named Troy came over to the house looking for you. And she had this face like she knew I had no business talking to him, and she knew he had no business coming to the house. And she was like, yeah, he came looking for you. And she was like, and I told him like that you were still at school. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, he came over here like around 4, just knocked on the door. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like I'll have to talk to him about that because that's weird. And she was like, how old is he? And I was like, well, he told me he was 21. She's like, well, he's definitely not 21. She was like, and I made a point to tell him, like, you do know she is 17, right? And she said that he was just like, and he left. I was so shook. Still to this day, it gives me goosebumps because that could have gone left so bad. One, the fact that all the information he had from me was my first name and my cell phone number. But he knew intimate details about what was going on with me at school, which means you were very much aware of my age and you were lying about yours, so you were probably a pedophile. 2, you probably used government clearance to secure information about me to find out where my mother stayed. And to make matters worse, not only did I endanger myself, but I endangered my entire family and my sister. Because if he was crazy, my sister was home by herself. He could have hit her over the head, he could have shot her, he could have stabbed her. God forbid, a million years, anything would have happened to her. We wouldn't have even been able to guess that it was him because I had no idea that he had that amount of information on me. Taking it a step further, I could have even endangered the people on my dance team at my school. What if he was watching us at practice? We would literally be on campus with no one else but us. Sometimes it would literally be me just by myself and maybe one other person, and everybody would leave and I would still kind of be there. So it's like the fact that he had all that access to me, and keep in mind, this was early 2000s. Okay, this was early 2000s. So imagine what type of technology and information people can get now, the type of metadata. So it changed me forever. Like, I never gave out my real number from then on. I would download like the Flip app and give like burner phone numbers. I never told anybody where I lived, even though I didn't tell him. I used to use a fake name after that. He was not getting my full name. He wasn't giving my government. And it just made me extremely paranoid. Even so much now with YouTube, like I don't give out a ton of personal information about myself. I don't, use my last name. My P.O. box is in a completely different city. I do all those things because I know that people can locate you and people can find you, and when you F around, you find out. Like, I had no business talking to him. I had no business even venturing there, and it was just so incredibly creepy. And I'm just like so thankful that it didn't go any further than that. I never heard from the guy again. He never showed up. I think my sister questioning his age and saying my age made him be like, okay, I need to back up. I need to leave this alone type situation. But I think it was one of those things where he probably figured when I got home from school, I was typically there by myself until people got there later on in the night, which was normally the case, sometimes the case. And I guess he figured, oh, well, if she won't see me, I'll just pop up. Maybe he didn't have any bad intentions. Maybe he was just going to talk to me and say, hey, I've been trying to hang out with you. I just wanted to meet you. I just want to talk to you. Either way, it was so many boundaries crossed that, dude, you are officially a creep. So if anything you take away from this, regardless of whether it was years ago or whether it was now, be really careful about your information and what you put out there. There's even a guy now on TikTok. I want to say his name is Jose Monkey. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. But literally all he does, all his TikTok is you stand in a parking lot and you give him no information. You say, hey, find me, tell me where I'm located. And he will pull up exactly where you are located. And this man does not have any type of government clearance, no type of access. He just be using Google and area maps and satellite images, and he locates people. So I just say all of that to say, guys, be extremely careful, especially if you are actually out there online dating. Even if you meet somebody at the club, be careful what information you give them, because you would be surprised what people can do with it. And that is all I got to say about that. But alright, guys, that is all I have for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little makeup look. It's hot, so I've been keeping it simple. As far as this has really good coverage to just be like a quick little like foundation powder. Like I said, I've never used a foundation powder before, but this is really good. Like when I put it on my forehead, it completely masked every imperfection and everything. But what I like about it is that it's extremely light. So this is a win-win. This is a good summer foundation too. I normally go with my tinted moisturizers in the summer, but I'm definitely going to be taking this with me on vacation because it feels like I have nothing on. And yeah, so I did, like I said, I put a liquid concealer over. No worries, no issue. Just make sure that you have a powder to go on top of it. I can also see you using this if you have like a liquid foundation and you kind of want to set it, you want it to last a little bit longer, you want to kind of mattify it. I can see you brushing this over also and kind of using it as like a finishing powder, if that makes sense. But yeah, definitely check this out. From what I understand, everything he makes is bomb. This is the only thing that I've ever tried, but I do want to try the setting spray, and it was something else. But anyways, guys, that's all I have for you. I know it's been a while since I did a quick little makeup tutorial, but yeah, as far as like all the bright eyeshadows and stuff, I really don't do that anymore unless I'm like going somewhere. But for the most part, I just put a basic brown on my eyelids so that they don't look crazy. I usually lead with my lips and I put on a pop of color there, and then I don't do anything to my eyebrows anymore. I get them done, I get them just cleaned up once a month, just cleaned up around, and then I just use like this black brow gel. It's kind of buildable and it holds them in place and it makes them a little bit darker because there's a little bit of tint in it, and done. one and done. But I will make sure to link everything that I use down at the bottom per use. And as always, love ya, mean it, bye.
That's how we fall out. 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 That's how we fall out.